What's up, everybody? Welcome to the third episode of The Highest Regard.
You get cute with it. You're like, you mean like a fun song for me when I'm like in my shower? Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Some people chilling, we've got some people working. Cool.
Let's go. So, today we have a guest called... What's your name, bro?
My name's Jason. I manage a studio at Darkside Tattoos Collective. We've been in the industry for the last, say, 13 years on its own as our lead artist, Spin. And honestly, today we'll probably only talk a little bit about tattoos and the rest about you. So, PD, hit me with where we're starting, man.
Look at this guy giving his own intro already, like a professional, guys. As you can see, or as you'll see possibly in this time, we've been friends for a while. We've worked on a bunch of projects together. So it's going to be fun to have a chat and unpack a few things that's maybe happened in the last week or two, and that might have happened in our lives in the last few years.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and internally it's always good to break away from in the world, you know, everything wilding in. But I feel like tonight, if we take it nice and slow, sort of warm up to the idea that there's actually more to talk about than anyone ever wants to let us believe, we'll be just right.
I agree. No filters on this one. We're just going to speak off the cuff, see where we go. Our producing crew actually, they got a few topics together for us. So we'll see as we go. When they want to throw something at us, we'll just play with it. So with this kind of show setup, what I was looking at is kind of like, you know, where and what is it that I want from a show? That was the first thing that I looked at, and then we just jumped into this thing. I posted something on Instagram the other day. Follow me at Pieter Pun, Pieterpun. We'll share your Instagrams and stuff a bit later.
Oh yeah, we'll get on that.
I shared a thing called, where I said, just do, don't try. Like trying is like halfway getting into something, and I don't like that. So that's why we're sitting here, lights, cameras, and action.
Fair enough. So basically you're throwing us in the deep end and we're here to wade the ocean.
It's the only way. It's the only way. It's
right.
How we do things.
Nothing we're not new to.
No, 100%. I mean, we've done a few things that we could share stories on, maybe in a later episode. I don't know.
We can always, with the two of us, there's always enough content to keep us going. So please.
So many stories. Okay, so let's rather start on some topics. I want to start on some things that happened in the last few weeks. Jason, do you have anything for us?
Andrew,
Okay.
did you hear about the Hair of God incident with Ronaldo?
The hair of God.
Hair of God.
Okay.
That's the tagline from the Daily.
Wait, what's the hair of God?
Hair of God. Okay, so I'm going to explain this one because Jason is off mic. Cristiano Ronaldo plays for Portugal. They're playing in the 2022 World Cup FIFA. That was a plug in my face. South Africa. The 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar. I think that's how you say it in the right language. Qatar. Now I'm Afrikaans,
Yeah.
I think I can say it right.
Oh, madness.
You know, Qatar. And apparently it's going quite well, obviously, for the players. For the fans, not very much. They can't drink beer.
Well, I heard there was a handful of pubs that they had sort of built for like the
World
event
Cup.
itself.
Or for
Yeah,
the World Cup,
much like that one stadium where
Yes.
it's like built overnight. You know, the guys do F1 every year,
Nice.
and those things.
It
Those
just gets-
stadiums don't live in the desert. The floor lives in the desert. The stadium's built over those.
No,
two
you're right.
blocks.
So a lot of costs got put into those things, and now they banned alcohol absolutely because they say this is our country, this is our rules, and I'm like, okay, you know, I don't know. Like I'm gonna take it a standpoint, and I'm gonna say that I find it interesting, and from a perspective of standing to your guns or sticking to your guns. I think that country has kind of done that. Like, this is their law and they're going to stick with it. They're not going to let other societies tell them what to do.
So I've been
kind of weird. I
loving
odd
this
about
topic,
it.
honestly. In the news of Qatar as a host for the World Cup,
Okay.
it's probably one of the most wild FIFA tournaments that's gone on. And it has to do about
Yes.
the games and what to do about the PR, the management
And
of
the
it all.
politics
Its
and
existence is just
Yeah.
insane because the argument stands. can you really shut them down for sticking true to their beliefs? Because their culture's been that way for as long as their culture's been, you know? That's sort of the whole point of it all. And you got to find yourself to respect that. However, when you're signing to something like the World Cup, where taking the grandstand to the entire world, technically you're welcoming the idea that you're accepting other cultures into your spectrum. So how do you find the middle ground where you're proud of what you are and what you stand for, but you're welcoming enough to let others who believe in what they believe in to experience it? So yes and no, but me personally, man, I'd probably not go to a FIFA match if I couldn't have a cold beer. Right? Or even a beer leading up to the match. Maybe not at the stadium. Yeah, it's allowed. I prefer one at the stadium. But honestly, the notion that going in, if you're buying those tickets and you are choosing to be respectful of their rights, the argument can't stand, oh, why can't I drink? If you knew going in, you had to have some heads up that was going to be the thing. They tried, it didn't work out. I think it's at least 8 points for trying, man.
So like it didn't work out in terms of like they banned it now. No one's allowed to drink.
2 days before the World Cup, they actually banned it.
They changed them out.
They said there's no alcohol that's allowed to be sold at the stadiums or at the designated places that they're designated for selling beer. It actually is $75 million worth of beer that Budweiser is keeping in a warehouse now. And Budweiser came out. Well done to their PR. They actually came out and said the country that wins the World Cup will actually, Budweiser will donate that amount of beer to the country, and they're also going to sue FIFA.
Which is fair enough, because technically the majority of those items go on a consignment basis.
Yes.
Right? At the end of the day, we're talking liters and liters of beer.
So
It might not be a black label. Like
and even advertising, they lost a lot on advertising too.
Well, this is the best part about it. They just created their own PR stunt. The advertising's doing the work for them.
It's just a good
whether they sell beer or not,
Yeah.
the name Budweiser is going to be something that reckons with the 2022 World Cup.
Scandal and stuff like that.
From this moment forward, Budweiser has its place in history.
There was no talking points on Budweiser before this at all at any World Cup. We just knew it was sold at the World Cup. Right?
The idea there being that Budweiser's been doing this crazy campaign where they're trying to get in on everything. Keeping in mind it's an overly American beer. Right? A lot of people here won't drink it, but the last handful of live music events I've been to over the last, say, 2 to 3 years, Budweiser has been the hefty alcohol sponsor. Where we used to cast out.
Even here, I didn't know about Budweiser until like I went to this other event. I was like, oh, okay. And there's a lot of people that are actually like, you know, loving the beer, like that are actually buying it not only at events but also like at stores and stuff.
No, it's picking up. So there is something to say about pushing aggressively with PR. So actually, I'm going to get back to the initial question they had about the hair of God.
Yes.
Okay, so this reference is about Ronaldo scored. He thought he scored a goal against who was it?
It was against Uruguay.
Uruguay. You sure?
Portugal versus Uruguay.
Yes, Uruguay.
Did they win by the way?
1-0. It was a 1-0 to Portugal. Ronaldo claimed it immediately, was so excited. But the technology showed, and the on-field ref or something basically showed that Bruno Fernandes scored the goal and Ronaldo did not touch it at all.
Hectic.
So they call it the hair of God. It is a reference to also Diego Maradona, who was at the 1987 or 6 or somewhere in the 80s, that World Cup. He had a header, but the header was not with his head. He also handed the ball down, and they called it the hand of God. So Maradona, it's a reference to that as well. So respect. It was a very good goal. Fernandes put it in. It was a great curve, amazing stuff. Did I tell
Ronaldo claimed it as his.
Ronaldo claimed it. Obviously, he wanted it so badly in his soul. Obviously, so that. Speaking of that's something I want to speak about. Is the player bigger than the team? Or I'm going to answer and say no. What do you think about that concept?
So in that concept specifically because of this, look, I'm a somewhat bashful but proud Man United supporter.
Sorry.
And for you can all throw your apologies to me. The last couple of seasons it's been extremely up and down. But one thing I can say that's been a constant is my disdain for Ronaldo's return. Purely because the moment he arrived on, it became less about the team, more about him. And a lot of those youngsters that joined on, part of their initial interviews where they joined on said for them it's going to be an honor, such an honor to play with one of the world-leading footballers at the moment, something that they never considered in their lifetimes. Now they're doing it, and I guess it goes to show that old saying of don't meet your heroes.
100%.
It sort of gets thrown in the face because now, if you look at all the complaints by the other players, it's all the youngsters. It's all the youngsters that know that it's their moment to shine. They've got the opportunities. We're supposed to be passing the torch.
All the attention is on Ronaldo.
And it's always on him. But if it doesn't go his way for goals, man, does he pull the PR stunts.
Oh, it's horrible.
I've never met a better deep sea diver than I have as a football player.
I think Ronaldo's like, I don't know, man. Like he does calculated actions. Like whatever he does is always calculated.
He knows how to remain famous.
Like recently, I remember before I think it was when he was still in Man United, right? Before the World Cup, there was like these meetings that Ronaldo posted where he was meeting with these Arab guys from I don't know where from. I think from Qatar or from Saudi Arabia, right?
Yeah, it was around Saudi.
Straight after the meeting, or straight after the interview that he had with Morgan Pierce, right? Pierce Morgan, right? Yeah. I think he already knew because like when you have an interview like that, like Kanye had the same interview and it was,
a Drink Champs one.
It was
like
Drink
that
Champs
final
also,
interview where you just
let it all out. So I think also Ronaldo needed to have that thing, and I think he had it because he knew if this is going to sink a ship down, I already have somebody
100%
behind. Because now we heard that Ronaldo's like out of Man U. I don't know if you've heard about that, right?
Yeah.
So recently we just discovered that now he's signed to a team called Al Nassr from, guess where?
Qatar.
Yes, Saudi Arabia.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, of course, 100%. Look, earlier I said he knows how to remain famous. Let me just recant that and say he knows how to remain relevant.
Relevance is the
right,
word,
because in today's day and age, you can be an astronaut or you could be a lonely bus driver. If you got access to a phone or some sort of camera and you can get your voice out there with enough angst behind it, people will follow. This man's had that kind of following before the necessity of taking it this way. So he's playing these cards close to his chest.
No, that's true.
But that's just how it goes. And look, hey, from everything else that Qatar's been doing over the last years, maybe not like the World Cup, but there's always money flowing around. They make it happen because they can afford it. And
That's true.
I guess without ever being in their shoes, I might never truly understand. I'll say this much. I think if I was in their shoes, I'd probably pull the same moves, man.
Yeah.
It's a good way to grow. Invest.
Invest
Oil might not
all the way.
always be around, but
You
people will.
can invest in people that attract more attention, I guess.
That's it.
That's true. PR all the way.
But do you think you would have like, there's a lot of players out there who have something to say, but because they're bound by contracts and they don't want to speak out because they might get dropped by the team, you think what Ronaldo did is probably gonna open doors for?
I don't know. I'll be honest, like yes and no. Like I agree it might open some doors, but I think there's a right way to do things in a wrong way. And when you're signing on to be part of a club that is historic, any of the English clubs have such a rich history that you do have to respect the infrastructure and the fans, and the fans' grandparents and their grandparents that have supported the club. I don't know, man. I think it's a bit deeper than just that. Like, be free with your words. Like, if you want to be free with your words, be a podcaster, don't be a professional. Like, I'm sorry, like, on that point, like, there's a lot of people trying to protest this World Cup. Each team trying to put on every cute band to say that they're standing against or for something, right?
Yeah.
What's that doing? I'm sorry, I'm tired of these half platitudes. You're at the World Cup. You're actually, if you really want to protest, don't go. Like you're participating.
Don't pay for the ticket that fuels the machine.
No, 100%. If you truly want to be an activist, be a full activist. Don't put your foot halfway in the water and halfway out. So I just want to point out some teams like Germany, Denmark, just like threatening some things. Like Denmark said they will pull out out of FIFA because of this World Cup, but they're still playing. Germany had this thing on armband, LGBTQ thing, and then they had to take it off, but they like were angry, but then they're still playing. So I just think like it's just, if you're gonna stand for something, you have to stand for something properly. So
Why did I have to take off the LGBTQ?
So this I was going to bring that up to point. Consider this for a moment. Was them wearing that LGBTQ band for the awareness of what that movement is, or for the fact that it's a potential FU to Qatar as a whole? Because much like the alcohol scenario, it's not unheard of that their culture doesn't quite agree with homosexuality, bisexuality, and all the other options out there. And that's another thing. Were they doing it to put finger to the rest of the culture band because of things like the alcohol scenario, or were they doing it to create true awareness? Because I mean, a couple of years back when the Bulls were playing rugby and they rocked up on field that one year, all in pink for cancer awareness, they got torn to shreds PR-wise. People were teasing them left, right, and centre. That wasn't the point. The point was they were in full colours there and then.
Yeah.
Why then not make your whole damn outfit LGBTQ? Because they can't make you remove that. You were willing to make that kind of a stand. Like you said,
that's the point.
they still played the game. So at the end of the day, PR stunt or not, and something we're talking about right now, and something most people are talking about, the idea behind achieving what that message was supposed to has been done with or without the armbands, because now it's currently on the flow of things. Was it driven by the cultural aggression that's currently going on there? Or was it driven to create awareness of this now heftier wave of all-inclusiveness?
I hear you. I think it's a tough one. Like again, it's for me, like sitting on one side or the other. I just look at, I'm getting tired of the sign up for this petition, put this band on, pay 20 Rand to this charity for this thing, but only 50 cents of that 20 Rand actually goes to that charity. It goes to helping people. Sweet.
So, guys, have you guys picked your teams yet?
Teams for the World Cup?
Yep.
Yo.
Last time you told me to get a team, so I have a team.
Okay, give us your team first, let's see.
Spain.
Spain,
is my team.
okay, I like that.
Spain.
They're actually one of my favorite teams to watch at this point.
Still sticking with Japan.
Japan, hey, you've been calling it.
That's an interesting one.
You called it before
Before we
Japan
actually
beat
started,
Germany, and then
Yeah, well, I'm coming from the other spectrum there. I've been a Germany supporter.
Okay.
Klaus is one of my absolute favorites to watch out there.
Okay.
And therefore, even though I know the trajectory for the rest of those World Cups, not in the Deutschland's favour, exactly, we've got an opportunity
you
to
still have good players.
but I would still back Germany.
Oh, you have to back your
What
team.
they did when they were here in our country,
Yeah.
right? I was favoured to actually go and see one of those games in Pretoria. It was one of the coolest experiences
that's so
ever.
Definitely, yeah.
Right? And even though I wasn't close enough to see the man sweat, that hype and that vibe about it all, those actually know how to play football, man. That's absolutely insane. So when it comes down to it, win or lose, I know that their kind of games, aside from fucking armbands, right? They're damn good on the field. When the game's on and the guys are hunting,
for sure.
it's definitely worth a watch. So
100%.
Germany gets my stand always.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think for me, Germany is always fun to watch. I said I love my African teams, and I'm looking at the Netherlands. Netherlands have been doing well. I don't know how to say his name. I think it's Gakpo. He's actually tied with Marcus Rashford as the leading scorer at this point. He plays for the Netherlands, so they're doing quite well. Then the African teams, Senegal's through to the round of 16, which I'm excited about. Those guys, that team has like a mix of the young and the old. Some guys we know, some guys we don't, but they're playing really well together as a team.
Okay, so
I'm excited.
There's some African countries to keep an eye on as well.
Yes, Cameroon's also pushing. They might make it. It depends on their last game.
Yeah.
And then Tunisia's not doing bad. I don't know if they're going through. I think they might not. And I think we've got Morocco left.
Morocco left now. I heard.
Oh, and Ghana. Don't forget about Ghana.
Ghana, yes.
Where's Saudi Arabia from again?
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Middle
East,
yeah.
Do you know like the Saudis, right? They have like sheiks.
Yes.
The different sheiks that own different lands, right?
Okay.
So what's happened? Well, like there's this documentary I've watched before, right?
Okay.
I'm talking about this because Christmas is around the corner, right?
Okay.
So this guy, every like, I don't know if it's the Muslim Christmas or, but it's just like a Thanksgiving, Muslim Thanksgiving. So what he does,
it's Ramadan, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, I think something like that. So what he does is that around that time, he invites his community, maybe 1,000 people, right? and these people like they gather there and then they just tell him what they want, and he'll offer them whatever they want. If you come and say you want a house, he'll just give you money for the house. If you say you want a car, he'll give you money for a car. So this documentary was basically saying